What's up, y'all? It's Shuffle, and today's video is going over the patch notes for the Altar of Hope. This isn't like the couple blog posts that I covered before or whatever. This is actually the patch notes, and they posted on their website, so I don't have to look at Discord. Thank you very much, and I'll post this below for your own viewing pleasure. But I did not realize that the patch was this big. So the good part is, since I played it for a couple days before making this video, I can actually give feedback on some of these changes. Let's take a look. So talking about how this whole thing is a rework to progression. They nuked the entire previous Hope system, so there's no profile levels. All your unlocks are gone except for shrines, to my knowledge. Anyway, sorry, I was reading this part here. It says you'll be awarded 20 candles of hope to expedite your exposure to the altar. I did not get 20 candles, so I gotta talk to someone. Yeah, so this is the altar. It looks fantastic. Just kind of gives you this the region screen from the first game, you know, not the hamlet itself. You go hit and bark, and then you get to look at where you're going. So it's kind of like that, and that is pretty cool. The mountain's always ominously in the back, much like the darkest dungeon in the first game. So it introduces a massive new progression system to the game, which allows you to invest in upgrades, perks, and unlocks. So this is really cool because you get to go at your own pace. If you really like certain heroes, you can just max them out as quick as you can and get all their stuff. If you want to work on other things, you know, like upgrade your wagon or get items and stuff, you can just pick what you're doing. With the items, it's interesting because the whole thing is pretty much a slot machine. So you get 4 categories and you invest candles and it spits out items. And I actually think that's a really good change, or a good way to do it, because this way, if you're allowed to buy your items normally, like if you just go, yeah, I just want to buy healing salve and stuff, you would just not buy half the items because they wouldn't fit your playstyle. So this way you're forced to make do with what you got. So I like that. But yeah. Let's see. So you get candles, that's a currency. They stack to 2 in your inventory. I wish it was higher. So you really have to fight for your early inventory spaces, and I'll make a guide on what I think the best way to upgrade your altar is in a couple days here. But yeah, so you get candles by looting them. They appear on the map. You actually see little map nodes with candles, and you go to those and you get a free candle. And when you do things in the game, you get more candles. So if you beat lair bosses, regions, the sleuth specifically, make it to the mountain, beat the game, have certain, like, enough heroes survive and stuff like that, you get more and more candles. The first time I cleared the game is when I beat Denial. I think I got like 61 or something. So other than that, you know, clearing like one region, I think you get, you know, about like 10 to 15. Clearing another, you get about 30. So it's about 10 to 15 per region, but I've seen as high as like 20. You know, I've seen people get up to like 80 something for clearing the game, which is pretty crazy. So there you go. That's, you know, to help you plan around stuff. And hero unlocks, the regular cast, it's like 4 candles to unlock them, and then Bounty Hunter is 5. You have to unlock Bounty Hunter before you can play him. There you go. The best rewards can be gained for making it all the way to the confession boss. So if you get to the mountain, you what is it? You get to keep everything you have. So there's no reason to not push to the end if you're able to clear Exemplar, which is nice. That's a very good way to do it. So here's how they are, I guess, their philosophy behind getting candles. It says cashing out. If you choose to, you can end an expedition gracefully at any inn. You'll keep whatever you've earned so far. So there's a button that says end expedition, and when you do that, you get to see exactly how many you're getting. It shows you the bonuses and then what you have in your inventory. Risking it. If you choose to push past the end, beware that mid-region party wipe or abandoning will penalize your total earn. I wiped in the first region and I had no candles in my bag, so I got nothing. That hurt. But you can get more, you know, if you get through a couple regions, you'll always have some, so don't worry about that. And finally, we have the pinnacle. If you reach the mountain, you keep everything you've earned. even if you fall. Yeah, no reason to face your not to face your failures. Ultimately, the decision of whether or not to press forward after a moment's sanctuary at the end should be something that weighs heavily when tending to your party and surveying challenges that lie ahead. Which is what happens, you know? Like, you get to an inn, you know, you got Exemplar coming up. Exemplar is really the kind of the defining point. You know, if you have some experience with the game and you've beaten it a few times, you're familiar with it, you can probably make it to the second to last inn pretty consistently. You know, getting through the Guardian nodes, maybe take a lair and stuff. Exemplar is very challenging, especially on a new profile. So if you're like me and you start over and you don't have all your skills, you're missing items like holy water, for instance, Exemplar can be a very, very difficult fight. So really, he's kind of the defining thing. If you get Bounty Hunter for that region though, it looks a lot better. So that's really fun to think about. There's a lot of consideration, but it's really at that point. So if you're not comfortable with Exemplar, definitely dip out before that point. But, you know, if you really don't care, then just push through, right? Give it a shot. All right, Bounty Hunter, who is fantastic, by the way. I love him. I love how they did it. I know I get a lot of comments. I've been reading the Discord and stuff like that. Not even my Discord, Red Hook's Discord. And a lot of people don't like the temporary aspect, but I do, you know. And for one, like I said, it makes sense thematically. I do wish he got shrines, but he doesn't. Otherwise, though, I think Bounty Hunter kind of fixes some of the issues the game was having. So the big issues that happened during the game that people complain about a lot was they said, I get bored using the same, you know, 4 heroes if no one dies for 4 hours. You know, I beat the game, I use the same heroes, and then I lose everything once it's over, and I'm bored of that. Bounty Hunter changes that. So you go to an inn, you have a chance to hire him, and you go, okay, will he help me here? Do I need him now? Can I not do it? Can I gamble and see if he shows up later and deal with it that way? So he really spices up runs. He helps fresh profiles a lot because his stuff comes mastered, and his starting 5 skills are pretty good. And then if you give him a few unlocks, when he gets his axe throw abilities, then he becomes a character that can be anywhere in the party, and he's very good at it. So he's a very, very strong character. Like, just power level wise, he is the strongest, I would say. His damage ceiling isn't as high as someone like Hellion, which is interesting, but his damage is just consistently high, and all of his stuns, all but one of his stuns, Flashbang, requires no combo. So Uppercut and No Escape are just free stuns, and that is very good. So I think he kind of fixes the run from potentially going stale, which I like a lot. And it's really interesting hearing some of the feedback. I'm gonna criticize some of the stuff I'm hearing, but like the relationship system currently is really just not fun. You know, that's why they're gonna rework it. People have been complaining about it since really day 2, day 1 and stuff. And Bounty Hunter doesn't have relationships. So it's really interesting to see the community that hates the current relationship system suddenly go, you know, I really don't like the Bounty Hunter can't get relationships. And it's like, why? He's only there for one region anyway. He's not going to build anything in that time. Like, it doesn't make sense for him to have them. At the same time, something that's really cool is since he doesn't build relationships, you know, Batman in the Dark Knight can make the choice that no one else can make, which is the right choice. You know, I'm quoting the movie there. And he's definitely based off Batman and Boba Fett. But with Bounty Hunter, if you have a node, you know, like a resistance node or whatever, and your team doesn't want to fight and you do, and Bounty Hunter wants to fight, you pick Bounty Hunter because there's no relationship penalty or damage or whatever for doing it. So he kind of gets around. He solves 2 of the core issues that people were having in the game. So I understand people want a permanent hero, but you know, the next 2 hopefully will be permanent. I really doubt they're gonna keep this gimmick going. So those are my thoughts on that. And if he came second, like if he came after another permanent hero, I don't know if he would be as special, if that makes sense. You know, we kind of waited a year for him. Not that they really worked on him for a year, but you know what I'm saying. I like it. I guess that's where I'm going with it. And I think in time, people as a whole will like it. And I don't know. I guess I should save the rest of my rant for another time. I got to get through these notes. So yeah. Bounty Hunter does not come at the crossroads. He's end to end. You pay him 4 candles at the end, so you don't need anything to hire him up front. This banner looks very good. Hero stats. Oh, wait. Is that it? Okay, we talked about Bounty Hunter in a different video. Here's the blog post. If you ever want to see it. So, gameplay. Hero stats balanced to account for the numerous Altar of Hope buffs available on each hero's advancement track. Basically, all of your heroes have less stats. They also have like 15 less, 10 or 15 less death blow resist, which is very noticeable. So you're coming out of the gate with 60, and all of your stats come back through the altar track, which is good. I like this. Your trinkets, paths, and stats are on the track, and there's something at the end I have not seen yet. It costs a lot of candles to get to the end, but each hero gets like an item, like a special item at the end of the track, so I'm very curious what those are. Monsters and bosses with multiple standard actions, not including start and end round skills, so these are free actions that they're referring to, will now roll their additional actions at a stacking initiative penalty in order to decrease but not eliminate the chances of multiple actions in a row. That might sound confusing, but basically there is a scaling like speed penalty on each enemy's successive rolls. So if they get 3 turns, they get their first one at normal speed, their second one at less speed, then the third at even less speed. And this is so the enemy can't like back to back you as easily. This doesn't come into play too often with most enemies. But, you know, there's some out there like Librarian, that gets 3 turns and stuff. Baby gets 2, right? So there are a few enemies out there where it does kind of break up their stuff. But from what I've noticed too, Exemplar is another one. But what I've noticed too is that sometimes, you know, it kind of, it's doing this to eliminate successive turns. So you don't get, you know, ganked, which is nice. But sometimes if your team is kind of fast, or if they have very polarized speed, so you have like fast heroes and then like 2 slow heroes, the enemy's turns will still like move to a certain section. So it'll be like, you know, they get all their turns kind of in the middle between the rest of your team or something like that. And it doesn't eliminate it. It does help it, but it can still happen. So it's a good change overall, because in Darkest Dungeon 1, an enemy with multiple actions could not back-to-back you. It just was not mechanically possible. So even if they rolled, you know, 200 on both their speeds for their attacks, which is impossible, but, you know, just saying if they did that, they'd always get their first turn whenever, and they get their second turn after one of your heroes got a turn. So you always get a chance to answer what's happening. Not quite guaranteed in this. And actually, it's a good change. It's a subtle change. I don't think anyone would really notice unless they didn't mention this. In changes, ins now vary in how much they heal. Reintroduction of Stitching Kit as an in item. Stitching Kit's been like coming and going for 12 months at this point, and I guess they finally decided how they want to do it. But this is noticeable. In's not healing you to full. I don't think food heals you to full either. So your damage sticks. So you got to be careful now. And you can't be as risky, which is good. You know, it's another thing that makes the game slightly more threatening. Item loot fixes. There were some spreadsheet offsets leading to incorrect supply item loot quantities. It should be fixed. Okay. I'm not sure who this is referring to. Confession boss battle modifier. This is the final boss. When facing the end bosses, heroes will now face a substantial death blow resist penalty. It is -20. This allows us to keep the fights challenging and deadly without involving endless hero death door juggling, which I do agree with, right? Because a lot of the mountain boss fights so far feels like you just ride death's door. And Now that's not going to happen. Like your DBR is basically a coin flip on the mountain at the confession boss, which is pretty scary. And people, I don't think, really notice how buffed the denial boss got over time, because as we've been fighting on high level profiles with everything and damage paths and what else, the denial boss got much stronger. So it is very easy to die to these mountain bosses now. So before you get salty, understand the bosses have gotten buffs. They are final bosses. They will probably kill you, and you need unlocks to make it more consistent. I saw Bear beat the denial boss first try, which I was very impressed with, because I didn't do that. But it took me 2 tries. But yeah, so boss is hard. There you go. Remove loathing restoration from guardian fights because they're not optional. I'm not restoration. I think it means decreasing loathing. Valley swapped order of story assist and hoarder for all narration and configuration. So the hoarder shows up in the Valley now. I don't think this is what this is referring to, but oh, it's right here. Valley changed order of assist encounter and hoarder. Never mind. Yeah, this is good. So you get the assist encounter first and the hoarder second. So if you get, you know, food from the assist encounter, you can change what you buy. But yeah, you get the hoarder instead of the cache, which is actually a good choice, because now, I don't know, I kind of like the cache because it's random. And so like when you start your run, it's, you know, what do I make do with that I got? But then also with the hoarder, you can just pick what you want. So it's good. It's a good change overall, just different. If Valley assist encounter, player have different choice between loot options instead of always getting food. I've seen this. Yeah, you get like supplies, food, and I think I've seen trinkets before. Might be wrong. Ordainment. Monsters in the first region past Valley will now never be ordained. It used to be like a 10% chance. Monsters in the final region before the mountain will be 90% ordained. So they're almost always ordained. So this is like flat 20% damage and HP plus some other modifiers depending on the confession. Region mutators. Added 2 new ones. Blood and Hope, Peace and Hope. Candle generation and boost at certain locations. That's good. Change secret safe region goal to fight less than 6 road battles, since previously it was sometimes impossible. Added candles into the mix for region goal modifiers. I've seen as many as 3, I believe. I've definitely seen 2 and 1. I think I've seen 3. Cell tokens now stack to a maximum of 2 and are consumed at a rate of 1 per turn, regardless of action taken, unless otherwise noted in a skill. So there are skills that say like remove stealth from yourself, and this is a good change overall. It doesn't fix Grave Robber, and I'll talk about that more later, but it's a good change overall. So you get more stuff to do, and it's pretty cool. Adjust the color of Daze and Stun tokens to better reflect the roll's negative. So Stun is no longer yellow, it's blue. It looks a bit weird, but you get used to it. Discarding items no longer rewards anything, that's fine. Heroes. Fix an issue where heroes would never want to head towards Oblivion's Ingress. This is the cultist fights at a crossroad. So this is great. Took a year, but it's great. Base DBR has been reduced to 60 from 75. You get this back up by upgrading the heroes. HP, speed, and resistance values have been adjusted downwards on many heroes. This is true. Hellion has like one that's plus 4 HP, like plus 4 max. But there's other stats in there too, like resistance. So the hero upgrades are very important. Grave Robber, Shadow Fade Plus. Both give 2 stealth tokens instead of 1. Shadow Fade now has a 2-round cooldown. This is so you can't be permanently invincible in stealth against an enemy. We've all seen the Darkest Dungeon runs where Grave Robber solo stuff. Maybe we have, I don't know, in DD1 because of Shadow Fade. So you can't endlessly Shadow Fade and solo everything, you know. Dead of Night also grants 2. This is a weird one. I really don't know why Dead of Night gives 2, but you know what, it's fine. Hellion, Howling End cooldown increased to 3 from 1. And Howling End Plus has a cooldown of 2 instead of 1. Thank goodness, dude. Finally, Howling End has gotten the frickin' nerf hammer. you can still Howling in toe-to-toe and stuff. And I'm glad they didn't nerf toe-to-toe, because toe-to-toe, it's weird. Toe-to-toe is what kept the rotation together, because it was so efficient. But Howling in was always the problem, if that makes sense. So I'm glad they still nerfed Howling in and not toe-to-toe. But I had people in my Twitch chat trying to theorize, you know, the new rotation. You can't just Howling in toe-to-toe over and over. So it's like Howling in, bleed out toe-to-toe, Howling in, or like Wicked Hack, Howling in, toe-to-toe, Wicked Hack, Howling in, something like that. So it'll be interesting to see what people do now. Retribution now has a 1-round cooldown. Retribution Plus has a 1-round cooldown. Strategic Withdrawal has a cooldown of 1 turn. So Rip and Peace, Strat Withdrawal, soloing every encounter in the game, because this move, Strategic Withdrawal Plus, on Man-at-Arms, like with a good tanky setup, could solo everything. I'm not kidding about this. I soloed the lungs essentially with this thing. And I've seen other people do worse, but good change. Retribution Plus having cooldown seems subtle, but now you can't slam Retribution Plus every turn for the most efficient move in like the entire game, where you get block, taunt, and 2 riposte hits, which keep Man-at-Arms alive. It does a ton of damage because it's 2 hits for 1 action. You get taunt to protect your team, and if you have indiscriminate science, you could cannibalize all those tokens for like 50% of your HP, probably more than that. So this is a great change. It means you have to think about what you're doing when you play Man-at-Arms. You have to hit different buttons. Retribution Stand Fast is a good rotation. Retribution Defender, Retribution Rampart, like, you have to press other buttons. Might suck at first, but it's actually a good thing. Runaway gets more stealth like Grave Robber. Increased cooldown on Run and Hide. I think Runaway is getting close to a good place with the path changes, so we'll talk about that too. Alright, damage paths got nerfed. Sorry, I got really bad allergies today. I haven't had allergies for a while, and I realize that's because I've had my window shut all the time because like heat waves and all that. And finally it's been cool enough where I slept with my window open, and now my nose is like, I don't know, sewer sludge. All right, it sucks. I had 1 allergy pill left, I found, and I used that, so I'm hoping it helps. But anyway, damage paths got nerfed, thankfully. Hopefully this will mitigate some of the ridiculousness of them. But Deadeye range damage bonus down to 25 from 50. Melee damage penalty down to 25 from 50, so you're not, you know, pigeonholed as hard. Night Sworn damage penalty, or HP penalty down. That's good, so you're more survivable. Lunge Pirouette bonus damage to 25 from 50. Venom Drop, range penalty to 25 from 50. Flashing Dagger's Blight increased. This is actually a lot. This is really good now. So Flashing Daggers essentially becomes Poison Darts without the crit bonus. And you hit 2 targets. So Flashing Daggers Plus has 4 Blight. That's really nice. And you get things like Foreclosure Notice, which help it too. So Venom Drop, new Venom Drop, I played with it a few times. I like it. It's in a good spot. I have not played with Deadeye or Nightsworn yet. Hellion, Berserker HP penalty reduced to 20 from 33. DBR penalty reduced from 20 to 10. So Hellion much harder or easier to kill. Ravager bonus reduced. I still think they should swap these. Like I really feel like the HP penalty should be on Ravager. Well, whatever. Damage bonus down to 25, so Hellion still hits pretty hard up front, which is fine. Turn start bleed effect can now be resisted. So if you give her a bleed trinket or bleed rest trinket, this usually is enough, or those in items, the clotting poultice or whatever too. I'm a man. Rogue damage bonus down to 25 from 50. Penalties down from 50 to 25. Sharp shot damage, same thing. So damage just going down across the board. Jester, same thing. Damage, HP from whatever to 20. So it's always going down to 20 or 25, depending on where it starts from. Let's see. Poet's self-heal bonus reduced to 50, so Leper can't like full HP himself off Solemnity anymore. Poet's stun and move res bonuses reduced to 50. I don't think Poet needed nerfs, honestly. Poet was not dominating the game this hard, but I guess it's fair. Tempest shot bonus reduced, HP penalty reduced, which is nice. Tempest still has like -4 speed or whatever, which makes it you know, weak in that regard. And they didn't lower the debuff penalty or the debuff res, which I like. Vanguard for Man-at-Arms, damage reduced. Resist penalty reduced. Bulwark damage reduced or penalty reduced. Sergeant still has a damage penalty, which I disagree with, but you know, it's something for another time. I haven't played with Sergeant, but you know, that it was historically just a weak path, specifically because of the damage. Aspirant Occultist, damage penalty or damage bonus reduced. Anamnesis damage reduced, so no more like crit 18 anamnesis, which, you know, sadness, but it's fair. Warlock damage bonus reduced, HP penalty reduced. No ritualist changes, which I would have liked to see. But I'm not upset, right? I'm always happy to see hero balancing. I wasn't sure when we get this, like if it was gonna be in a different patch or what, but it's good to see it, you know, coming in some regards, so this is good. Plague Doctor, resist bonus reduced, HP penalty reduced on Alchemist, Surgeon bonus or HP bonus reduced to 25 instead of 20, so this kind of goes against the trend so far. Surgeon melee damage bonus down to 50, so no more like crit 24 incisions. Arsonist damage penalty down. Turn start dot can now be resisted, this is fantastic. Survivor minus 20% penalty to burn chance has been added. Survivor actually might be unplayable because Runaway does not have enough damage and the rest of her skills to make up for that. Whereas Arsonist can kind of make up for the damage, especially now. But for this here, all you get now for damage options are like Ransack, your utility skills, and then Controlled Burn, because I believe it does not use Runaway's burn chance. So those are your only choices now. Monster bouncing, Oblivion's Rampart. This is the Guardian node. Battles are now one fight instead of 2 waves. This is a nice change. You don't have to like slog through a bunch of cultists. Biome 1 is now Cultist Mash with a guaranteed altar, no more guaranteed Deacon. Biome 2 is now either a Deacon or Cardinal Mash with an altar. The altar is actually the most threatening thing in these fights. Altar is such a jerk. It's good. Like, if you're playing Denial, it can give enemies stealth, and that can really screw up your kills on enemies. And then on Resentment, they get crit for getting hits, so you can really just juice up what you're fighting. And it's scary. Biome 3 is Exemplar with an altar. My one tip for this fight is ignore the altar. Like, the altar gives regen, it's got the crit buff, or the stealth thing, but when the altar dies, that buff goes away, I believe. And people were asking, how do you know, out damage the 6 regen that Exemplar gets for eating the altar? You know, you just wail on it to get rid of it. Honestly, like combo or vulnerable, stacking a bunch of damage over time is good. And for early profiles, if you have Man-at-Arms, use Bellow in this fight. Because when Exemplar eats its friend, it gets riposte. The riposte hits very hard. Use Bellow to get rid of the riposte. Or use someone that can block to trigger the riposte until it's gone. But Bellow is a very good one-tap answer to a lot of Exemplar's nonsense. Man-at-Arms just matches up very well in this fight. Okay, so here's your quick guide. You get Stand Fast Plus, which removes combo, gives you block plus. You can also Defender your allies that get combo, and you can taunt to redirect the combo attacks from Prelude and Fall. And then you get Bellow to remove riposte. Man-at-Arms is an excellent Exemplar counter. Mountain fights. The first one is now random Deacon Mash instead of Exemplar. Good. I don't like fighting 2 Exemplars. It kind of ruins the experience, so it's nice that Exemplar is the gatekeeper. I like that for that fight. The second fight on the mountain is now a Cardinal Mash instead of a Deacon and Cardinal. Good. Because actually this fight wasn't that bad. This actually made it harder. But this fight got easier, so it balances out. Cultists out of position attacks, and it lists a bunch, have slightly reduced chance of granting worship. This is good. They shouldn't grant worship at all, in my opinion, because if you are able to disrupt the enemy, movement isn't really a common thing that you have access to. You only have like two big ones, like a pull or push two isn't that common. So it's nice to get rewarded for disrupting the enemy, but whatever. Herald got massive nerfs. It's very noticeable. So first trumpet does the backline cleave that burns and bleeds you. Damage, lost 2 off the top end. Inversion self move reduced to back 1 from 2, so it can't, you know, just teleport to the back. Clarion Call has to be used from the back now. The stress is guaranteed to be 2 instead of 2 or 3. It can't crit. I don't know why it could crit in the first place. But basically, if you pull Herald up front, especially to rank 1, it is very weak now, which is good. Harmonious End has been replaced with Disharmony. It's a front rank attack. This just does some damage. It can crit kind of hard, but that's it. Exemplar, Exaltation crit reduced to 5 from 10. Good change. Damage range of Exaltation, lost 5 on both ends. Range of the fall for damage, lost 4 off the top, which is good. So it's max 16. Stun resist reduced to 60. This is actually pretty relevant because, especially with those starter teams that I keep talking about, Dismiss gets stun on pistol shot. So if you can combo the Exemplar and then take aim and then pistol shot, your chance of stunning it is actually 60% because you penetrate 20% more of their resist. So you can actually stun lock it with take aim pistol shot, which is nice. Not quite stun lock, but you can stun it consistently. Her Ladyship Combustion skill now correctly deals 200% remaining damage. I never knew how this worked. I did not know this was a thing. I didn't know how this move works, so that's news to me. The Shroud Fog chance reduced to 33 from 66. So Fog much less common. Blind chance reduced to 75 from 100. Thank goodness. I think it does less stress too. I don't see it here though. Fisherfolk Bosun. Massive nerfs. So damage down, crit down, sun ringing. So this is the stun move, the cooldown increased. Cabin Boy heals slightly less when it powers up. Spawning ground stress reduced to 2 from 3. Good change. Let's see. Captain can no longer all hands on deck. Oh, could target corpses. This is the super buff move. Debuff res on Docker reduced to 20 from 30. This will make sticking weaken and blind and stuff easier on it. Make way no longer has a chance to deal stress. Why did it have that? Oops, sorry. It's good that it's gone. Docker dramatically reduced likelihood it'll use make way on its first action. So Docker was a jerk because make way is the big party hit attack that shuffles everyone. And so what would happen is turn 1 Docker would just hit you with this, you get stretched, your whole team would get scrambled, and then the fog would come in and you get like blind and vuln and your party's out of position. It was freaking miserable. So they made that easier. Fishmonger Whetstone now has a 50% chance to grant dodge or dodge plus instead of 100% chance of dodge plus. That's a good change. It's not, I mean, it's a nerf. It's not really that noticeable, but it's good. Hull Keeper, this is the elite bosun. Heave ho damage reduced quite a bit actually. Oh, adjusted, not even reduced. So instead of 6 to 7, it's 4 to 8, so bigger range. And it's sun rigging, so it's sun attack. I guess stress, so now it kind of lost a bit. Bullseye Barret in the Tangle. Mark for Death has been renamed to Chosen Target. This is because Bounty Hunter has an attack called Mark for Death. Librarian. Librarian got a lot of buffs. Librarian is a much harder fight now. Like if you try and take it region 1, he will probably ignite. Okay, so if you don't know the mechanic, Librarian, it spends a turn doing 15 damage to each book stack. And so previously each book stack had 45 HP. So Librarian would get through a stack in 3 turns unless you killed the books to help him. So after 3 turns, he'd get through 1 stack. So it'd take him 9 turns to get to the front. Maybe 7. I can't remember because of, yeah, anyway. So, it's tripped me up. Anyway, I digress. When Librarian is fighting you now. It has a very, very, very good chance of getting to the front and igniting, especially if it's region 1. The reason that matters is because in region 1, you don't have a lot of mastery, you don't have a lot of trinkets, you don't have a lot of damage. So Librarian got 15 more HP. And because of that, and the reduced HP of the books, the HP on the books is random as well. Librarian can get up front very quickly and start killing you. And every time I fought him since these buffs, he is ignited. So make that what you will. Let's see, Ignited Librarian's HP increased to 140 from 125. When he ignites, I think he heals for like 24. So be ready. Crit hits from any skill now apply 3 burn. This is Librarian's trophy effect, so now he has it baseline. Speed increased to 4 from 2. I think this is to account for the multiple action thing change, so understandable. Ignited Librarian speed increased to 6 from 4. Burnout damage increased from 4 to 8. From 2 to 4. Burnout now applies 2 burn. Mandatory reading 4 to 8 damage from 3 to 6. Crit rate increased from 10 to 10 from 5. This move hits very hard now. Mandatory reading now deals 1 stress guaranteed instead of 50% chance. Smokestack is the blind attack that it has, so it can consistently blind you. And he can blind your front line. So you can actually taunt this too, which is nice. Smokestack no longer deals damage, so it doesn't trigger a post. Now inflicts 1 vuln in addition to existing effects. Very scary. Smokestack crit rate increased to 20 from 50, or 20% to from 5. So it can stack burn on you. Categorize now ignores dodge and stealth, but you can still blind this. So if you blind him, he can still miss this, at least in my experience. Categorize no longer intentionally consumes a crit token on the Librarian. This is a very niche interaction. This has to be like a trinket you have, where if you miss, they get crit. So I think I can see Burning Bright ignores stealth. I really don't. Oh, I guess if you're like if you have 1 hero left, this is the big cleave attack. This is a super move. So if you have 1 hero left, like Runaway or Grave Robber, and you're in stealth and they're the only person left, then you still get hit. So understandable. Leviathan. Leviathan did get toned down a bit, which is nice. Eye of the Storm now ignores blind dodge and stealth. Ignores blind. Yeah, okay. I can't remember if it did that before. I guess it did. Or I guess you could blind it. Eye of the Storm now targets only the 2 heroes that will receive the Call of the Deep token. This is the main mechanic. This is the undertow marker. So this is good. It's not a full team cleave for like 12 damage. You know, it actually picks 2 people, so you have chances to do stuff about it. And probably also guard against it now because of that, I'm imagining. Doesn't say it ignores guard. So I imagine you could taunt. Like if you guard the right person, yeah, you can mitigate it. I was gonna say you could like neutralize it, but no, that's not how it works. Anyway. Eye of the Storm now shares the same ignores as Eyes of the Storm. Oh, they're 2 different moves. This must be... I don't even know, dude. You know what I think what it is I think this is the marker, and then I think this targets the person that already has it. Not sure. Fix an issue where Eye of the Storm could consume a crit token on Leviathan unnecessarily. Seething Sigh, the resentment boss. Fix an issue where a damaged lung could be cleared by untargeted corpse clearing skills like Mag Rain. So this could pull the Sigh up to the front if you did it this way, and they changed that. So you can't kill the front lung, Magnesium Rain, pull the boss up, and then like hit it with bleed out and point blank shot. You can't do that anymore, which is fine. Exhalation, the super move, no longer occurs if there are breath tokens left at the end of the round. Finally, a reason to interact with the mechanic. Thank you. Sundering Exhalation now deals increased damage or stress damage, 2 for shallow breath, 3 for deep. So it's more threatening because you can actually disable it. So that's completely fair. Damage required to break a breath token has been reduced to 12 in the front and 9 to the back, down from 20 and 15. This one matters quite a bit. You still have to hit it twice with most characters. But if you have like a really good Hellion and you hit Iron Swan, this is fine. So this means if you actually play the fight and do the mechanic and you kill a lung, you do one, you're down to shallow breath, and if you kill both, you're down to no deep breath and you just fight the boss. The only thing I would add to this that I would like is if killing a lung damaged the boss, but this is fine. I think we're almost there on making this boss not a completely miserable experience. Let's see. Exhalation single breath token damage increased to 10 to 20 from 6 to 9. Again, completely fair because you can actually disable it. So the double breath token, so this is a deep breath hit, goes to 20 to 30 instead of 15 to 30. So you really can't tank this. You cannot tank these anymore with like the DBR penalty for the fight, which you have to remember you have minus 20 and you're starting out with less DBR, and depending on if your relationships break and stuff, you really cannot tank these attacks anymore, which is what we could do before. So it is nice to have these changes. Main body HP down by 70 to 280, so that's really good. So I haven't fought this yet, but this looks really good. Hopefully this fight just doesn't suck ass. I mean, it's okay if it's not that fun because like it's a final boss, but like no one wanted to fight this. My chat stopped or they kept asking me to go to the brain boss instead because it's just more fun to watch than this crap. So they're fixing it. Let's see, stagecoach upgrades have been renamed equipment. Okay. Item tags have been added to select items. So everything has an item tag now, which is really cool. So combat in items, stagecoach equipment, tooltip color for item type has been updated to match the frame. Awesome. Caltrops has been renamed crow's feet. This is because bounty hunter has caltrops as an attack. Okay, added signature item or in items for each hero after they've been fully upgraded on their altar tracks. I wish we could see what these are. But you get an in item apparently. Okay, so a bunch of changes to stagecoach gear, which really just weren't a lot of these just weren't really impactful, so I don't really care for these changes right now. But there you go, you can read those. Trinkets. One new trinket has been added to each region, excluding the sluice. I wonder what these are. I have not seen these. Oblivion Rampart rewards now guarantee a Dark Impulse in the first region. This is cool, so you can actually get your cultist trinkets rolling. C-COMM? C-O-M-M. Thrilling tablet now sold by the Hoarder. Okay. Miscellaneous fixes. There's bug fixes. And that's it. Woo! Sorry for the long video. Big patch. Huge patch. So there you go. I'll link everything down below. Overall, I'm really enjoying this patch. Every time this game gets patched, it feels like a really good, just healthy addition to the game. And they did make the progression system much more fun than the current Hope system. Ugh. Overall, really good, fun. I'm liking it. I've been playing a lot, so if you want to watch me deal with the altar and play bounty hunter and stuff like that, watch the stream. twitch.tv/shufflefm. I link it under every single video. I go live most days of the week, and I'm going to be going live more often because of the patch. But otherwise, yeah, very fun stuff. Let me know what you're thinking down below. Mainly about the altar. Kind of done reading the bounty hunter stuff. I don't know. But it is what it is. That's it for the video, though. So thanks for watching. See you next time.